Do you hear back from highways?
What?
You put a request into highways, didn't you, for the information on the 8511 agreement?
No.
No, you didn't.
No.
I thought you did.
Yeah, we're all here. Yeah.
No, trees.
Early finish, guys.
Oh, right.
Famous last
Trees
words.
on Ashby Road. TPO, because they're monitoring them
Oh, yeah.
for damage.
Well, I will tell you all, I've not had tooth access, and I'm feeling very sorry for myself, and I'm on antibiotics. Well, more than usual, yeah, because I feel. You haven't started recording, have you? I don't feel the need to share that with all of Markfield.
You just did.
Did I just? Well, that's all right then.
We commit these to memory, do we?
Well, that's why I'm here, so you can bring it with you all the time and it's there.
Yeah, everything's now live.
Okay, thanks, Richard. Okay, Councillor Harris. I think we're going to start. Is everyone happy that we start? Hi. Well, welcome to everyone, and welcome to County Councillor Peter Bedford and to a member of the public. Welcome. I don't feel the need to go through the fire regulations this evening because we've got the doors open anyway. So you'll be first out. So apologies for absence, which is why I'm sitting here, because Councillor Taylor's not present tonight, and also Councillor Burrows.
Yes, and we've also had apologies from Borough Councillor Chris Lambert.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any declaration of interest for the agenda tonight? No? Thank you. So if we could look at the minutes of the council meeting held on the 9th of May for accuracy.
Yeah, if I may, Chair. Item 26, I believe. Let me just double check.
Yeah.
26, item 2. I did ask for my dissent to be minuted, which it hasn't.
Oh, can we do that?
What's that? Sorry.
Yes, Kevin's quite right. He did register his, was it dissent to the 5,000 or was it dissent to, remind me?
Item 2 it was, wasn't it? The second one is...
Oh, yes.
Your vote against, was that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, Kevin. Okay.
So we'll have that added, Kevin, you're quite right.
I've got a point on the Jane Avery.
Yes.
I think it's at
I looked at the minutes actually, Barry, because you mentioned it to the clerk and she mentioned it to me, but I don't see it in the minutes.
oh, it is there. I just haven't got the minutes.
I've got, it's under minute 13.
This afternoon, 13. Jane Avery Trust, Mrs. Jackie Williams, and Mr. John Bowler.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's me.
You're already on.
You're already
This
on.
was adding another. Okay.
Yes, you're not actually parish council representatives. You're there because you've always been there, and you're there in your own
Okay.
right.
Right.
Yes, is that correct, Maureen? Yes.
I just raised a point of participation. Sorry. I was just waiting to send the response letter from.
Oh yes, I've got that marked, David. Councillor David Spatian advised that he had sent a response to the letter from Luke Evans and he would circulate this to the parish council.
And the chair's got, the clerk's got it.
I haven't. Not your response to.
Didn't I give you it?
No.
Okay.
Perhaps you could?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that'd be great, thank you. I've got that as well, Claire. And I think I've got, just bear with me. No, I haven't got anything else on there. So, are you happy that I sign those?
Yep.
Want me to do it now? No,
Or you can do it at the end.
I'll do it at
whichever
the
one.
end, if that's okay. Just bear with me a moment. Public participation. No, Peter's on a different bit of the agenda.
Oh, right, fair enough then. This is not something personal to me, although it matters very much to me, about the traffic situation on London Road. Simply because I've had people, as you know, I'm at the retirement village, and several people have mentioned this to me, who've had close shaves like me, going down there, almost being cleaned up with traffic coming in the other direction.
This is London Road, Anne, is it?
Yes.
Not Ratby Lane.
No. What we're saying is this is the London Road that we hit to the left as we're going down to the main village. Right.
It's London Road, yeah.
Right. Now, it's reasonable, and it's no good saying it's to do with the new estate, because generally that's pretty clear. You know, you've got the little bars in the middle. Then all that stops, so it's a free-for-all after that. And continually on that road, unless it's either very early in the morning or quite late at night, there are traffic regulations being broken every single day. People are parking half on the pavement. People are parking on the double yellows when they can get away with it. And what it means is that as you come onto that slight rise, because you're looking then to turn right into the main street, right, then that is just a blind alley because people are parked absolutely everywhere. And if it's a bus coming or anything larger than a bus, then you might just as well stay where you are and let everyone through. Some people are very good and they understand and they obey the traffic regulations, but very, very few people do. And I think it's going to lead one day to a really shocking accident there, which could be avoided with proper traffic control, which we don't have.
Well, I think I'm correct, and I guess, David, this goes back to your days as well. Barry, goes back to our parish council days, must go back to your own days, Anne, as well. I believe enforcement that you talk about with things being half on and half off the pavement is a Hinkley and Bosworth council matter.
Yeah.
Other highways issues are a county council matter.
And 30-mile-an-hour limits.
But what I would like to know
Stop the
is,
cars going in David's
Front garden, yeah.
what I
They're
would
trying
like
to get
to know
in.
is, if that is actually the case, and bear in mind that it must be, 2-3 years since I left the parish council anyway, and it was being talked about then. But don't forget that estate hadn't been built at that time, so it was slightly easier. But now there is more and more traffic. I don't know whether it's coming from Beacon Island or whether, but we are undoubtedly an area here which has a lot of tributaries running into it.
I don't know whether I'm slightly speaking out of turn, but it has been said in my time on the parish council that when this has been reported to the police as a road safety matter, they've actually said that they welcome the cars being parked just there because it slows the traffic down. Am I right, David?
Correct.
I don't think I'm speaking out of turn by saying that.
In some areas.
They say it's a chicane which slows them down, which is a crazy setup. There you go.
It does bottom up into a certain point down Forest Road, doesn't it? But I think further up, when the vans are parking on the verges or at the entrance, turning into the main street, when you've got vehicles parking on that side of the road, that's when it becomes a problem.
And I think, Claire, one of the other problems we encounter is that although traffic enforcement is Hinkley and Bosworth Borough Council, they never send anyone out in the evening. I've seen the odd traffic warden in Main Street during the week,
but never anywhere else.
and I've never seen them
Well,
in the evening.
I understand we have 2 hours a week enforcement, and that's shared between ourselves, Stanton, Groovy, Ratby,
So I think
a week.
I think, Councillor Harris, with your other hat on, I think this is one for you.
It is.
I think the other thing is there,
Well, it's a problem now. It's going to get twice as bad once that estate's completed.
there is more cars parking
There are,
on that road now
yeah,
at
And
night.
vans.
and vans.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
understand one man has already had 2 letters warning him about it. Absolutely no idea who it concerns.
Yes.
But that information came to me from the village. So.
And of course, you rely on residents being respectful, don't you?
I think the other issue is where the lines are and what can be enforced. Because there can only enforce if the lines are there.
And we've also had the explanation in the past, which again I think councillors will endorse, that even if you've got two wheels on the pavement, as long as you're not obstructing someone going past, they still won't enforce it. As long as you can get a pram past, as long as you can get
But if it's causing damage to the verges,
county council matter if the verges are damaged.
Which they are,
Right.
apparently.
Yeah, I mean,
you want to comment?
I raised a similar issue in Destin, cars parking on the verges, and residents are hacked off, should we say, about the damage being done. And unfortunately, the policy at the minute, which I'm lobbying to get changed, is that unless there is a material damage to the verge, they won't basically repair it. So if it's mud that's been splashed up or whatever as a result of a car being on there, not with council.
Or the ruts. They won't repair the
No.
ruts.
No. That's something I'm speaking to Ozzy O'Shea about.
What about excessive diesel that's bringing the tarmac? And I mean excessive diesel spill.
Have you
I can photograph it.
send me photos?
Send you a photo of it.
I guess the other option is to extend the yellow lines, because the last time that was done was before your time, Peter, when the county looked at the yellow lines in the village, extended some of them, particularly around the schools,
Which will result in a new
And
traffic
that's
regulation
probably-
order.
10 years ago.
So I would go to my report now, it's a hydrogen issue. But it's so I do know that the highways department are trying to look at doing what they call a consolidated regulation orders. So in the past, it'd be like £7 grand to do with this. Yellow lining there. What they're trying to do now is almost batch them together. So get a list of say half a dozen roads which need doing.
Put them all
Do
into
them-
one order.
Do them all as one order. The same £7 parts as a single order rather than doing it as multiple orders.
That's what
So-
they did last time.
So you know, if there are multiple roads that you think would benefit from that, then send me a list. You know, through the clerk or so forth, and I can put them together and suggest that as a
I think there
single
are probably
unit.
enough for that, isn't there? Because there's a lot of complaints on Oakfield Avenue. There seems to be a lot of speed down Oakfield Avenue.
Yeah, because I think if you look at it in isolation, so well, the county council are going to go, well, you know, why don't we consider that road there? Well, actually, if you put it all together, sometimes they work in silos. Teams often shouldn't, they do work in silos. You put it all together as one plan, if you like, it makes the overall cost lower, essentially, each bit of improvement.
I know.
So if you have got a number of areas, then do collate them and send them out forward.
Notice people on Oakfield Avenue, some people put white painted rocks on the verges now. It seems quite effective, but it's probably legal, is it?
You can, I do know people that have been told to remove them.
All right.
Some people put bollards on the main street.
Yeah, thinking they can keep their parking spot.
Ah, so-
Yes.
Bollards there ready for when they come home.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you go up and they've removed them.
Yes.
These are all situations that get progressively worse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think Maureen suggested, and we could perhaps tie this in, Maureen suggested that sometime over the summer, in the coming weeks, that we actually have a village walk as parish councillors, and perhaps that's something we could put onto the list. Would that be a good idea
Yes.
to look at?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so. Because then anything that needs doing, we can schedule and keep it on track.
Yeah.
It'll always be on record, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we used to do that because we used to cover all the village assets at the same time.
We did. So we'll add that to over the summer, we will look at some of these parking issues.
Could I just make one final point? What concerns me most of all about the entire situation is the lack of vision. You know, the way so very often you've got to pull in to avoid people, etc., etc., etc. And then you're left in a difficult position on the road anyway to try and find your way around the block. And there are times when you simply cannot see what's coming, and they're belting down past the bull's head, you know, regardless of the.
But it is particularly the larger vehicles and the lack of respect of people that park there.
You've also got, I think, stone words places like Amazon and DPD that tend to just park up on double yellows. I don't know
Well, you make
who
it.
could make that complaint, but it's definitely worth it.
Well, again,
Emails
I
to
think you have to be on the double yellow line for a certain amount of time before they can.
Yeah, I mean,
If it's
Yeah, I
obstructing,
think
if it's obstructing like on Main Street,
Yeah.
I literally have them stop dead in front of me when
Yeah.
I'm ready to
We-
turn. You know, that's an obstruction.
I had a
there.
contact at Amazon when, so we had Shore Lane, 511 Shore Lane. There were Amazon drivers urinating in bottles and chucking them out windows and sorts of down there. And yeah, so I contacted Amazon. They claimed to have taken disciplinary action against the drivers, but the complaints gone. So I'm assuming they've stopped doing it.
They're doing it down Hill Lane now.
Are they? Oh, right, great.
Oh.
So we just move the problem to someone
Yeah.
else. So yeah,
Mm.
it's an outcome, isn't it? Yeah.
Just be a bit more respectful, because I've noticed it a lot on the Main Street when they've just stopped dead, or they've literally just parked on the pavement, you know, with no room for any wheelchair or pushchair to get through. So
But Anne, thank you for bringing that to our attention, and we'll certainly put it on the agenda for over the summer. Yeah.
We actually had to ring somebody today who should be nameless to say, would you please put your cone back in that very large pothole? Because the cone has disappeared and somebody's already been in there with one tremendous bang. Yeah, we actually thought somebody's pinched the cone, but they just walked off.
Thank you. Which I think brings us into yours, really.
Okay, thank you very much.
If the chair will excuse me, I'm going to go. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Anne.
Thanks, Anne.
And thank you for listening, and lovely to see you all.
Thank you, Chair. I think some of these things we've already covered, but I think I gave you a bit last time on the two MVAS units. I spoke to Ashley Hughes, highways officer. I think he was going, has he contacted the clerk or the clerk's office?
Ashley Hughes.
Ring a bell.
Oh, yes, the traffic man.
Yeah, so essentially, the London Road was more straightforward because in terms of consultation, there doesn't have to be as extensive consultation. I think the challenge with the Ashby Road one, where the parish council has the right to some residents to have their view on it, which is a requirement. And until that's been done, we can't progress it.
Well, that has been done, and we've had nil response.
Oh, if you could write that back to
I
Ashley.
have.
Okay, great. Okay, fine. I've got a meeting with Ashley tomorrow afternoon.
This is Ashley Hughes we're talking about, you know.
So I've got a meeting with Ashley tomorrow afternoon. So I would say we've had a conversation this evening. So therefore, it is what it is. Okay, fine. So they should be taken forward. I know there was a question from someone. Yeah, on the data. Yeah. So in Barlston, they chose to, Ross Hill was the council there. They, you can choose different specs of units and the rest of it. They chose to, parish council contributed some towards a different type of unit there, to upgrade the unit that Ross was going to put in there, and it had some extra features on the rest.
I don't think ours do they?
No.
Room?
And
Am I right?
I'll be honest, I haven't got the money to
Collect
upgrade it.
data.
They
No.
don't.
Yeah, no, I haven't got any budget left to upgrade it further. But the units that are going in are going to be the standard ones you've seen rather than the general spec. So those two are going in. It's a matter of confirming with Ashley, with consultation with Ashley Road. That was the only thing holding that one up. And London Road was more straightforward because of where it is compared to other houses. So hopefully that will progress with speed now once I confirm that that's the case with the consultations. What else? So yeah, during the month, Claire contacted me about relining we were doing at near the community centre, Mayflower Court. It's similar to London Road, really. It's difficult to get down there sometimes with parking, isn't it? Cars blocking the way, there's an emergency vehicle to get down there. So county has put it on their list to read. So we're going to come out and reline it, keep clear signs out.
that's just outside Mayflower Court to keep clear for the ambulances to be able to pull right down to the doors. The lines have faded over time, so they're going to fill in the potholes and keep clear sign back on so that people are parked there, not parents parked there for the school room. It's not appropriate, obviously, as a delivery or an ambulance or something that needs to reverse straight down to the doors.
So that should be done over the coming weeks. Buses, there's two issues on buses. So there was a review ongoing for 125, which is the bus that goes to Markfield Court and Coldham, etc., all the subsidised by the county council. So that was part of the county council review of subsidised bus routes. The government announced a £1.8 million grant to the county council. So basically, that consultation has been deferred. So there's no changes to that any subsidised bus routes across the county for another year. There is hope that that funding will be in place for another year after that. So that's not set in stone at the minute. The hope is that will continue for another year. In the meantime, the county will see how it can best deliver.
So we haven't lost a bus service.
The 125 that is subsidised by the county council will continue as it is now. There's no changes to it. So that's the situation regarding that. The 29A, a few people have written about in terms of timings being late,
I've seen
all that kind of. I mean, it's very limited what I can do in terms of making them doing because it's not a subsidised service. The county council doesn't run buses, particularly that bus. It's a Riva that runs the bus. So I know Luke Evans. I've spoken to Luke's written to them. I've written to them. Highways have written to them about poor service that residents have had in 29A, trying to get them to improve. Nothing get excuses back about lack of drivers or whatever. There tends to always be an excuse. So it is on our radar, but we have limited powers to.
And that's something to remember when the neighbourhood plan comes on stream for sustainability.
Yeah.
So we need to tuck that one away and remember that. But when people are saying you can have extra housing because isn't this good for transport links and where we sit? No, it isn't because we haven't got a decent bus service.
I think
So we
that
need to remember that.
absolutely. I think the other thing is that when we've got accidents on M1, A50, it just all backs up, and that adds to the delay with the bus service, obviously.
Yes, it does.
And I mean, the last 2 days, the M1's been chock-a-block, not moving.
Yeah.
So we get the rat runs through the village.
Yes.
So that's on buses. And finally, so I had Markfield Quarry fund pretty last night. So I think Markfield got the Brownie Group in Markfield got I think about 8 to support them in their summer campus, etc. So that was a good news story. But the fund is down to about 50 grand now. So there's not much. It was 400 grand when it started. So there isn't a huge amount left. We're in year 7, I think, of the out of 10 of the fund. So we are coming towards the kind of tail end of it. So I suggested last night's meeting that we start to look at smaller groups, smaller pots of money now. In the past they've given 5-10 grand out to bigger kinds of capital schemes. But I guess the preference now is going to turn to the scout groups, the community groups, the voluntary groups that have got kids or different groups of people that want to do something that's spending the hundreds of pounds, not tens of thousands of pounds. So, if you know any groups that would benefit from that, then contact me or the quarry.
The parish can still apply.
Parish can still apply, yeah, absolutely. Parish can still apply.
Yeah, because we need to be looking at applying for grants for play area, for instance. Not relying on the council taxpayer to pay for it.
Yeah,
get grants.
On that, I would say, so we do have a lot of parish councils apply.
Yeah.
Parish councils around there apply. And some of the pushback has been this fund isn't subsidised. Parish councils. So there is a challenge on that. So I'd just be careful of how you pitch the grant application.
I think we hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that looking at the disabled swing, for instance, I mean that would be different to standard equipment, if you like.
So well, we just had a meeting on foot, but so the next meeting isn't in November. But I did say that if we have a few that come in between, we'll try and call a meeting in between them. But it won't be for a couple of months at least now. It just happened. So you can always put them in early or come to me and I'll send you in the right direction. But no, otherwise that's it from me.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just ask you, Peter, is there any update on the Fieldhead roundabout lights?
So,
Because the original scheme just had lights on the two sides of the roundabout, which doesn't benefit us at all.
so,
So is there an update on changes to that plan?
not a major update here is the problem. But the proposal as was submitted is for them to be phased, phasing lights. You have two lights. You have like a phasing, so exit onto the roundabout would be a number of cars, let them go through similar rotation system like that, not a traffic extra. Essentially that's how it would work. So they would be phased, basically is what I'm saying. That's what has been explained to me. If you've got any specific concerns, I'm happy to feed them back, maybe potentially get a briefing on that. I mean, they're offered to do a briefing for.
Yes, they have, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
It's a very good thing for
Because-
Shell, I think.
Because there's been a considerable amount of money from planning applications in the section 106s that have gone
so they have offered to
specifically
come and do a
for
briefing
field
on,
head.
on it. I can request it and then I'll share some dates that they.
Yeah. Because I noticed, I don't know whether anyone else has noticed, there's a traffic count going on Ratby Lane. Have you
Yeah.
seen it, Lucy?
Yeah.
There's some lines across the road.
So yeah,
No, I mean, they were saying that right at the start, and I argued that they needed to be lights on all junctions, on the 4 junctions rather than just the 2. So
Yeah.
I didn't know whether that had sunk in or not.
So the briefing to Matthew Lane and I had a briefing as well a year ago.
I can remember that,
It was
yeah.
around a year ago, and the model was shown. I mean, I'll have a look when I get home. And if I've got the schematics, I'll send it.
Yeah.
Essentially, it was explained to me that there's phasing of it, so it only let so many cars through at a time. So they wouldn't allow people to get on.
When are they going to do it?
That's a very good question. So
And that's the question about the money.
Yeah.
You know, what's the money? Where's the money?
well, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've said to Anne.
Well, it was 106 funding, wasn't it?
Yeah,
From
and
the
if you
quarry.
add up from the various planning applications, it's quite a lot of money.
It is, yeah.
I mean, obviously the scheme itself is massive. It's the whole corridor, isn't it? That scheme.
Yeah.
But actually, you know, if that's, I'm not saying it's unviable, don't quote me on that, but you know, inflation's massive. It's really high at the minute. You know, the costs are going through the roof. Is the funding there to deliver the whole kind of corridor? So I think there's a big question mark over that. Well, even if it is, there's certainly the 106 million that were allocated around here to ensure there's improvements to that part of it. So that's the case I'm making with my rates.
Well, the traffic volume is still relevant. You see all these sheds that are gone up at Barden and things like this. Do we know just what the volume of vehicles per hour is going to be and the type of traffic?
Well, I think the scheme took into account the future predictions.
Did it?
With those schemes at Barden.
Yeah.
There was predictions that were done.
Because we noticed that even the noise levels now on Leicester Road, Ashborough, they're getting quite considerable. You can not only hear the traffic noise, you can actually hear the rumbling of the traffic. So will there be any screening in due course? Especially the new residents on Ashby Road on the other side. You need ear protectors.
I still understand the A50 is the busiest road in Leicestershire.
It is.
For traffic volume.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. See you.
So, Councillor Harris, with your other hat on.
I have to say, there's not really much to report. My job so far is training. Apart from the obvious, the neighbourhood plan. It's been mentioned a few times in planning how important it is right now because of the situation in Hinkley. And there doesn't seem to be any movement on getting any numbers prepared. So it's very important that we move forward with the neighbourhood plan. Aside from that, there isn't really much to report. As I said, apart from ordering the double yellow lines outside Fusion, they did some work there. There's a few residents said that the double yellow lines needed to be put back because people were parking. The lines that Mayflower bought to be painted back on. A few resident complaints here and there, but apart from that, there's not really anything to report.
I think as a parish council, our main two things to take back really to Hinckley are, but their age is old, is our disappointment at the local plan. We're in the situation we're in with the neighbourhood plan because of the local plan, and also we have noted as a parish, or we will note as a parish council, the latest press release on the planning department, which has had a certain gloss put on it. I think what we want you to take back to Hinckley is that it's all very well upping the minor. You know, they've come out with a press release that says, oh, we're getting all the minor, the little extensions and everything through, but we're still caught in that trap of the bigger applications. So with your agreement, I think there's probably the things we ought to send back to Hinckley.
I think Colin was saying that the local plan is 2 years away.
It will be.
So if you can get an update on where the local plan is, time-wise, that would help. That would help us. I know, yeah, I know.
But we continue
Yeah,
to
how
keep,
long's a bit of string?
don't we? Yeah.
I understand our allocation will be 155 dwellings over the next period. So we've got to find another 155 on top of what we've already got.
Is that taken
And
into
that's
account?
taken into account Leicester City's shortfall.
We just park that for a moment because
Yes,
we can cover it
yeah.
in neighbourhood plan in a minute. But I think the bigger picture is, come on, where's the neighbourhood plan? Where's the local plan? And secondly, you're telling us you sorted your planning department out, but I don't think we're quite sure whether you have or not. I'm sure you'll keep that on the radar.
They seem to have it under control. We need his help, so
We'll see what
But
happens.
just in regards to the city, I'm sure, don't quote me on this, but there was news that we don't have to take on the excess from the city. So that's moving at the moment.
I know Hinckley and Bosworth had objected to it.
And I believe we have to push them back on that. So as far as I'm aware, we don't have to take those from the city, but that's yet to be.
But when we come on to the neighbourhood plan, I think we may get some advice that it's prudent
Still moving.
to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Claire. Thank you.
Sit back and answer questions.
Right, if we can, two members to the Gelson Liaison Committee. I understand, Kevin, nothing really happened after last September. Did you have any meetings with Gelson?
I had one. I can't remember. Did the ladies, is it Miss Eastwood?
Steph Eastwood.
Did she leave when you were still there, or was that after you?
It must have been after me.
Yes. Well, she disappeared. I don't know what happened.
She was the agent, wasn't she? So that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and after that, Rob, let's just say is difficult to pin down.
Okay.
I did manage to pin him, corner him at one point for a meeting over the phone. But yeah, it's all dwindled. But then we've not received any complaints over the.
Is it council's wish that we reinstate? Yeah, we have.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Do you remember, Kevin? It came in our time as well. We know that Gelson 1 was never really looked after properly management-wise with the grass cutting. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And we kind of were starting to broker a deal with them that, well, hang on, this isn't very good PR. You need to put Gelson 1 right before we look at Gelson 2. And we just about got there, didn't we? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Came out, the marks up where they were going to fill in the potholes and put things right, and they did a little bit of work, and then that's it. Didn't see them, all fell apart again, the rain started caving in. But we have got issues because there's leather jackets, there's rats. Again, another thing we need to sort out that orchard project, because we believe that's where the rats are coming from. And there's many residents that have gone through Hinckley pest control, because we think they're coming out of there where people are chucking stuff over the back fence, and it's just inundated with rubbish.
And am I right, Claire, there's also the issue that some of the management is the responsibility of people that are under some of the housing association.
But not much, that's the problem.
Just a small part.
The main grass that you see from London Road that's housing association's groundsman's responsibility. And there's literally a small patch of grass, probably the size of in between these tables at the bottom end. Everything else will correspond to Gelson, will fall on Gelson. So the 6 foot high grass at the minute that's in that main, the big circle near Chapman Close, that's all technically falls under Gelson. We won't have to chase them to get them to.
Yeah.
Have they done it?
Yeah, well, what they've said is they've emailed me back and said that it should be done by Monday latest.
Great.
So it weren't done
And
Saturday
they
when I was
also
round then.
mentioned about the hedge.
Yeah, they're going to do that.
Yes, but the hedge cutter at the moment is broken, but it's been fixed.
I'd definitely recommend trying to
I was
re-establish
going
it.
to say, is it council's wish that we reinstate it?
I believe, especially with the phase going in, I think, as you say, phase 1 needs to be sorted before we start promoting.
Well, it was
phase
always
2.
intended. So
Because
do
the problem John's going to have is that people from phase 1 are going to stand on phase 2 and say, don't buy these houses because these are the problems we face. And I don't really think they would want that animosity, but that's kind of where it's going to end up if they don't start putting right what they want done or what's wrong.
so let's get it reinstated then. 2 members to the Gelson Liaison Committee. Do I have any volunteers?
Well, Kevin's on it.
I'd like to do it, but for the next few months, I can't commit to anything else.
What does it entail?
It entailed before
A Zoom
we had
meeting.
Zoom meetings.
Yeah, all right.
Maybe just updates to how the second phase is doing and just
Yeah.
that.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to go back on it
I think it's a good idea to keep that relationship.
if someone else will accompany me.
What about you, Claire?
I'm happy to.
I was going to say, because you'll be getting
Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy to.
you'll be getting all the feedback from people around there, so you can.
So are you happy if
Yeah,
we
yeah,
do it?
yeah.
And then perhaps Kevin, you could slot back in as
Yeah.
and when you can,
Yeah,
because I think we built up a valuable relationship with them before.
yeah, definitely.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
we did. And it's going to be important for the neighbourhood plan as well. So, and again with your other hat on, so that's probably quite useful. But I don't want to tread on anyone's toes. If anyone else wants to, no, okay. And to appoint the two councillors, Councillor Burrows and Klaus, to the Markfield Surgery Patient Participation Group. Can we
Yeah.
just ratify that decision?
Yeah.
I know they're very glad to have you, Klaus.
Yeah,
Yes, so that's good.
That's what we're still in for, but yeah.
So if we could move to the Neighbourhood Plan Steering Group Progress Report. David, do you have an oral report you can
Well,
give us? 'Cause
yeah,
we
I
need to
mean,
get this sorted.
we've only had one meeting, and we left it with Colin to get numbers, because there's 2 areas of the neighbourhood plan that need refreshing. Obviously, because of housing numbers, that was one, and Colin has come back with 155 that we need to account for in the new neighbourhood plan. There's sites we identified before
Yes.
in
And
the
some
plan.
new sites have come in.
And obviously Hinckley and Bosworth will have new sites that they will notify us of, which again we will look at through the neighbourhood plan. The big issue for us is that there's no funding. Really, the neighbourhood plan should have been started last year. The funding came to an end in March, and the government's neighbourhood planning group web page is still saying no funding available.
Is that definite? Because that's slightly
I
different
went
to
on
what
it today.
Colin told me.
I went on it today, and it's still saying they're waiting to hear from the government.
Yes, so it is not quite that there isn't any funding available.
The
They just haven't
application,
notified.
the government haven't notified
Yeah.
them how much funding they would get.
Yes, and it's
So
very late.
call it how you like. Currently, it's a blank.
Yeah,
It's a blank. It said further details.
yeah. My conversation with Colin, who's our planning consultant, he said that there's quite a discontent in the neighbourhood planning consultant fraternity
Yeah, yeah.
because it's never been as late as this. Also, some planning consultants only do neighbourhood planning work and they're actually pulling out because it's quite usual that the consultants don't get paid. They invoice us retrospectively.
Yeah.
So therefore, there are some consultants out there, including our own consultant, who has done some work and they've not been paid yet on the promise of the grants coming through.
Yeah, yeah.
It is worrying.
It is. It is. I think because we've started to review it and we've informed Hinkley, we've written to, emailed all local councils around us, parish councils. We got one response back from Groby, just outlining the areas, the green areas in their plan. I guess the other thing to say is that there's two areas. One, the government are looking at extending neighbourhood plans to 5 years. Ours ends in September, but because we're reviewing, Colin says that adds some weight.
It's a direction of travel, isn't it?
The direction of travel, so it's still valid and has to be considered. But there's two things. One, the government extending them to 5 years, and we're still waiting to hear on that. And that's down to Gove again. The other thing is the Hinkley and Bosworth 5-year housing supply. They're 4.89 years currently. Hinkley and Bosworth reckoning by September they will have their 5 year. Yeah.
Well, that's really good news.
That is good news because again that means we are protected from any development because of our neighbourhood plan.
Who's, if you don't mind
Colin,
saying,
that's come from Colin.
That's come from Colin, and we've got that in writing.
Yes.
Because I haven't seen that.
Yes, if you look at his last email, it's right at the start.
Is it not safe to say that we need to be in a if that doesn't happen situation?
Absolutely. Which is why we're reviewing.
Just another
Because we can't rely on the government extending them to 5 years.
Get out of jail card.
Yeah. The thing is, if that does happen, we can stop doing our review. Because if it's extended to 5 years, our current neighbourhood plan will be extended to 5 years.
Time.
But again, the risk is that we're relying on one government to do that, and two, Hinkley and Bosworth to actually have their 5-year housing supply.
Sorry, Karen.
Could I ask David, the one thing that's slightly been niggling me is, has the group responded to Hinkley and Bosworth?
Yes.
Because they say they haven't. We've had a second email. So
Colin,
there was a deadline of the 6th of June, and they've now extended it for us.
Colin has been in touch with them. Colin has been liaising with them.
Are we sure about that?
Well, that's what he's told me.
Well, yes, we need.
Yeah.
Has the group seen the letter that has gone to Hinkley and Bosworth?
So we actually triggered a response into Hinkley and Bosworth. I was looking at this thing on the deadline. We formally told them that we are doing the revision to the plan.
Yeah.
But you haven't given them the timeline and the project, which is what.
No, because we haven't got one at this stage.
But have we told them that?
No.
Well, we should do.
So
someone from the group before Friday needs to tell them. Am I right, Lorraine? Yeah. There we go, new deadline. So first of all, whoever is the contact in the group was written to to say, can you let us know by a date, which was last week, your project plans, etc. Friday, 9th of June. If we do not hear from you, we
It's-
will be back in touch.
It-
So they've been back
It's
in
been
touch.
sent to the clerk, hasn't it? That?
No, it's been sent to you and Barry and me and the chair,
Okay.
because you forwarded it, didn't you?
But Hinckley and Bosworth never sent that direct to us.
Well, they didn't need to, because they sent it to the clerk
Yeah.
and she sent it to you two. Yes?
When did that come through?
Have you answered that? Yeah, that needs answering, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty quick from Friday.
It was sent on Monday, May the 15th, the first one, with the deadline.
Yes, I got that one.
And then the second one was sent on the 9th of June.
Ah.
And it says, since I last emailed, we haven't had a reply.
Okay, so that's the very recent
We
one.
haven't heard from you. We're extending the deadline by a week until 12 p.m. on Friday the 16th. Please make sure you send us your project plans, very rough timescale estimates. It's incredibly important for managing the team's capacity, which is true, because we have to maintain this relationship with Hinckley and Bosworth.
Just one
So-
point arising from this. You say that the city, the England Bosworth of
Just before we move on to
Yeah.
that, Barry,
Okay.
can we just nail, is somebody going to reply?
Well, the problem
to
has
this?
been, of course, is we've had one meeting where Colin updated us.
Yeah,
He went away because for us to move to the next stage, we need funding. We can't do nothing without funding because we
So
need
we
to.
can tell Hinckley
Yeah, but we
that.
haven't got a program. We haven't got a program plan in place.
No, we haven't got this.
Yeah,
because-
exactly.
because
Well, we
they-
will do.
We need to tell them, because we can't just leave it in limbo.
We will do.
But it needs to be
Because-
done on
but-
Friday.
You know, this lady from Hinckley and Bosworth who's just appeared.
She hasn't
on
just
this-
appeared, it's Fran.
Yeah, but she's left, hasn't she?
She's gone on maternity leave,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we've got Daisy.
There's somebody else in place.
We've always had Daisy.
Okay. Well, you know from previously.
Yeah, yes.
Well, we'll just inform her what we've done so
Well,
far.
who's going to do? Are you going to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll
That would
send
be
her an
great.
email.
Because at least that will buy us time.
But all I'll be able to tell her is what we've done today.
Well, that's what they want. Please make sure you send us your project plans, even if these are rough, as it's incredibly important for managing the team's immediate availability of members of the team. If you are unable to provide any of this information, please still drop us an email to let us know the reasons why, so we don't waste our time keep chasing you.
Right.
Fair enough?
Yes. I mean, if we
And,
can't,
you know,
if we haven't got the answers,
I've
we just
got
say
the
we haven't got the
full
answers.
direction.
The the point on programme,
So back to you, Barry. As
yeah.
long as we know that's going to be done by Friday.
they understand that I think it was been successful in rebutting this extra housing that's been imposed by the city. If it was successful, you could argue the existing neighbourhood plan is up to date.
That's what they're aiming
Yes,
for,
yeah.
what the aim is.
Now it's a risk.
But it isn't up to date because there's other things. that
Yes, I
are
know
not
there's
up
other
to
things.
date.
In terms of fighting off the opposite, developers coming in, leaving us exposed. If the figures are still right, then from that aspect, we'd still be in a position to fight off the developer. I know there's gaps in it. It's just an important section. It doesn't excuse us from digging into the neighbourhood plan and putting some contingency in. But we know, because if we budget for 155, whatever the figure is, we might end up committing to it. We might only have to budget for 75.
But we can't take the risk.
But we can't do it
We've
yet.
not got the timeline
Yeah.
to take the risk.
We don't want to put all our cards on the table at the same time. And that's the only point.
So I think the other important thing is this group. I know you're saying we've got no money, but we can't just ignore it, can we? We've got reserves. Am I right?
Well, in your budget, you've got 2,000 for the neighbourhood plan, that's specifically for that.
But we
Where are we at now?
Well, we don't know because Colin's not invoiced.
No.
So you see, that's another thing. We should really be keeping the track on his fees, or the group should, even though he's not invoiced us at the moment. So we've got a rough idea of what's going to
I mean,
hit
to
us.
be fair, the group really isn't formed yet. We've had that one meeting. Remember, there was only 4 parish councillors, and the neighbourhood plan was urgent at that time. I agreed to call people together.
Because there was only 3 of you left round the table at that stage.
Yeah, and that was February.
That was February.
So, you know, we've not had hardly any time to get people in. The group have only just got together. We've called Colin in to give us an update of what we need to do.
Well,
And that's where we are.
Is it council's wish though? We need to get this group re-established, don't we? With a meeting ASAP. Do people agree?
Yeah.
Who's in the group at the moment?
There's currently 8 and us 2.
A big group, isn't it? It's a big group.
Well,
What's the workload? I mean, in terms of the work.
Well, Colin does most of the workload, obviously,
But we can't afford it.
but we can't afford him
So the
because
idea
we've
is
got
to
no
ourselves
money.
to come down on
Yeah.
these fees.
There were, David, people attended that meeting. I'm not sure who they all were, but in terms of those that said they would contribute, I mean, not from the parish council, but
Yeah.
there was Tony Lockley,
Yeah,
obviously Colin Wilkes, yourself. There was other people there, were Robert Quarney and Cook, and then there were 2 other people. I don't know who they were.
So are you,
One
since, sorry,
was an
since that
accountant.
meeting, are you all in contact? Are you all?
we've got the
No, we
email
haven't.
addresses of all those. Yeah, yeah. No, no, the clerk's got them all.
But the clerk isn't available to facilitate this, are you?
Has the clerk got the
They should
people
have,
who
the
were
group should
attending?
have.
Yeah.
I'm really
okay.
sorry,
Yeah.
I'm dead in the line
Yeah, all those that attended that meeting, that inaugural meeting,
Okay.
gave their details, and I passed them on to
Okay. Right.
Lorraine.
And they're the ones that we spoke about on Friday, Margaret. I
Yes,
gave the
you
list.
did give me a list.
Yeah.
I'm not now. I'm almost.
So obviously Colin was going away to get more information and to look at the grant.
Yeah.
And we left it for him to get back in touch with us before we could move to the next stage. And that's where we are. The next stage is to work out a programme, a time programme with Colin.
No, what you're telling us, all the other members know exactly what you're telling us now. They know that you waited for all this.
Yeah,
You're being useful, you know.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how we left it, didn't we?
Yeah. What wasn't agreed was who's doing what.
No, absolutely. So there's no chair, there's no scribe. Yeah.
Could we not find out from Colin if the £2 grand would be sufficient to get you to the point of having a programme in place?
I spoke to Colin last week. I had about 45 minutes on the phone because David and I were emailing because we realised we've got a problem.
Yeah.
And from past experience, and it's quite easy for me to say, from past experience, there seems to be a huge reliance on Colin at this stage. I don't know whether who was around with the neighbourhood planning group before. Parish, who were part of the planning group.
Yeah.
There's quite an over-reliance on Colin, and there shouldn't be an over-reliance on
Well,
Colin.
he's
Your planning consultant should only be brought in as and when.
There's a guy.
Yeah.
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 But as we saw it when Colin was the consultant, he was really guiding us through all these various stages. At that time, I was only doing that.
Did everybody take on a role?
It was split down, yeah, to look at various stages. But in terms of the overall strategy, because he was saying, well, you couldn't do that, or you do this way, things like that. But
Yes, I'm sorry, I had to move because of the sun.
so the various members on that were were sort of doing their various bits and pieces, and
Yeah.
then Tony Lockley was pulling it all together
Yeah.
as a submission.
Tony
Yeah.
did a lot.
Is Tony involved now? Is Tony?
Yeah, but he wants to take a back seat this time.
So the group needs to meet, clearly. I would suggest ASAP. I was going to suggest, and I don't know how practical this is, that because we cancelled planning and highways, that slot was used next week. I don't know how practical people feel about that. But the group needs to get together. It needs to elect a chair, a vice chair, not a vice chair, a chair, a secretary and a treasurer. And what I was going to suggest was, if people found it helpful, I'm willing to attend the first meeting that you have, and I can take you through. Because the other thing, Kevin, is I did a huge piece of work on this in February, which I gave to ex-councillor Fawley, if you remember.
I didn't know you'd done the work on it.
What happened to that? Do you remember I did the work? What happened to all that paperwork? You didn't see it. But well, we are where we are. What I was going to suggest was,
I've not seen it.
given my past involvement, I'm happy to come along to the first meeting and kind of facilitate pulling it together.
I think that would be useful.
What do people think?
I'm happy for
I think
anything
that's
to
a
get
good
going.
idea, because if it gets,
I mean, it's Lucy's something you could. Yeah, but yeah, I feel like you might. Yeah.
Yes. David, you've indicated that you're struggling for time. Do you want to carry on in the group, or would
Well,
you like someone
I'm
else?
quite happy for you to take it
I can't take
and
it
Lucy
on.
to.
I can't take it on. It would only be.
I mean, with Lucy's background, I think it would be useful for Lucy to be on it.
Yeah, obviously I don't have any experience of doing the neighbourhood plan beforehand, so I don't know the process, but I would be happy to.
But you're good at doing
Well, what it
programmes.
needs is, at the moment, on the committee, it's a subcommittee, just to explain, it is a properly constituted subcommittee of the parish council, isn't it, Lorraine? The neighbourhood planning group.
Not really, no.
I couldn't find anything in the minutes.
No, I thought it always used to be.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been. It was what we were asked to do, or what I was asked to do.
Oh, yes, I mean, it should.
Yeah.
It should.
Yeah.
Yes.
We haven't appointed members to it. We haven't done any.
I thought we'd appointed Barry and
No.
David.
No.
No.
Well, because what happened was at the time, we put an advert out, didn't we?
We
and
did.
asked people who were interested in joining the group to get in contact, and then I had the email addresses for those people, and we emailed them and said, "Are you still interested? This is the first meeting," and that was as far as we'd got.
Right, okay, but it will be a properly
Yes.
constituted subcommittee of the parish council.
Yeah, so February, when I took it on, that's what we did.
Yeah.
You know, we need to advertise, we need to get in touch with the previous group, and we advertised for anyone interested. So that took a bit of time.
Did you get in touch with the previous group?
Yes. Yeah, the one that was on it previously, hence Barry.
Yeah.
Do we know how busy our counterparts at Hinkley Bosworth are?
Well, that's the whole point of them wanting the project,
Yeah.
so that they can work out their capacity.
Yeah, because a lot of people are pushing through their main plans at the moment.
No, in fact, in the paperwork, it tells you, on this particular letter, it tells you who is doing neighbourhood plans at the moment and who is refreshing.
Ah, right.
So no,
okay.
there aren't a huge amount.
So the other thing we need to know, if we can get to this committee or one level above, is to what extent we can take shortcuts through this system. Otherwise, we're going to lumber ourselves with a tremendous amount of paperwork, just repeating what's already in the existing.
That is a matter for Colin.
Yeah.
That is a matter for Colin.
Because that.
Colin's attention, what we were discussing in regards to the difference between refreshing and.
Yeah. So we need to know, you know, and let's face it, there's something like housing, infrastructure loading, and the heritage side of it. About those three key items. The rest of it is pretty well taken as read, and we need to find a way of like getting them to know that's all they have to do, not make a great bureaucratic issue of it.
Yes.
And it might be better to meet them and discuss it.
Well, Daisy's the contact. There are 12. There are 12 going through Hinkley and Bosworth at the moment. Daisy's got 3 of them. And yes, you're absolutely right. That's another angle. And it is really important to build a relationship with the person at Hinkley and Bosworth for a council. Yeah.
It's in their interest as much as ours.
Yeah.
Perhaps what Kevin was saying about the cost of college, do we know how much we already owe him money, or do we?
We do owe him money at the moment, but as I've explained, the way that it works is he will invoice us retrospectively.
So the more work we do, the less we pay him.
Well, not necessarily. No.
In the end, he will write the document.
Yes.
And as he said, 90% of the document doesn't need
Yeah.
rewriting. The housing section will need rewriting,
Yes.
but not from scratch, and a couple of other areas.
Yeah. The major piece of work, as the gentlemen will know anyway, is the site selections.
Yeah.
That's a big piece of the work, isn't it, David?
Yeah, if there's any new sites.
Yeah, because they've already assessed sites.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as I say, if it will help, I'm happy to sort of facilitate.
I think that would be useful,
You
yeah.
know, and also, you know, sort of say to Colin, well, okay, we now need a definite.
Yeah.
So if the meeting can be convened at some time, I suggest it's as soon as possible, because as we said, by September, we may need to demonstrate that we've gone a considerable way on this neighbourhood plan.
Yeah.
Because the other 2 things to be looked at are heritage and landscape reviews.
I've already asked Hinkley and Bosworth to do some research
You've already
on that,
done that.
but it's outside of the neighbour planning team at Hinkley and Bosworth at the moment.
Yeah. So hopefully, does that sound okay to get it?
Sounds like we're moving somewhere in the right direction. Yeah.
So can we agree a date?
So can we do that 20th of June? Suggest that the planning committee.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Does our clerk need to be at that meeting?
No, because she doesn't facilitate. We don't have the capacity for the clerk to do it. How does it sound then? June the 20th? In place of planning and highways?
Yeah, that'd be all right.
Can someone invite Colin?
Or all the members, I presume, all the members that are on the.
Yeah.
Who's going to do that? Clerk or whoever's leading?
Well, you can.
I can't do it, David. I'm not taking on the neighbourhood planning group.
No, no.
I made that very clear.
I can email the group.
You can facilitate getting.
I can email the group that I've got.
Yes.
Email and call to
Yeah.
say that there's a meeting on the 20th of June.
Yeah.
Where? Here?
I would say so, because it's on the calendar. It's on the calendar. Planning and highways, I'm at council meeting.
Who's the contact we got now in Hinkley? Is it
Daisy.
Daisy? She has offered to meet with us previously.
So she might.
If that offer's still on the table, it'd be worth trying.
Yeah, I would suggest, Kevin, that we perhaps leave Daisy till after that first meeting, because we need to put some structure in place first, don't we? Do you agree? Do you agree, Lucy? We need to put some structure in place before.
Yeah. Have a chair and various people in place.
Yeah.
Do it.
What time, Margaret? Are we doing 7?
It's on 7:30 on the calendar. So
Yeah,
it's
do you want to-
7:30? So from this group, it will include David, Barry, myself, Lucy, and then the people that have agreed, that have put their names
Yeah,
forward.
yeah.
Awesome.
Is that okay?
Sounds good to me. Sooner the better.
If we can get that back on track.
You need to consider funding as well. You need to consider the funding as well.
Yes, well, we can look at that, can't we? Yeah.
Is the funding pretty well entirely Colin's input?
No, there would be things like consultation. Last time we had to have leaflets delivered to the village.
It has to go to a referendum as well.
And the referendum.
But this is
costs as well.
not necessarily.
Do we pay the referendum costs?
No, we didn't. They paid
They
it.
pay that, but there would be costs, for instance.
It
the
all
group
came
that-
out of the grant last time.
But
Yeah.
Colin was indicating we may not need the referendum.
I thought he said yes.
Yeah, he's
Maybe
looked at
wrong.
it. We do. We need to consult and go to a referendum
Yeah.
on it.
But is that
Certainly
because of the
paperwork
houses
that I've
allocation?
seen.
No, it's
I thought it would
a
be.
refresh.
We're back to regulation 14.
Great Glen, yeah.
Yeah.
Great Glen had to do the
Yeah.
same. They've just had their referendum.
Well, Hinkley did last time.
It came
Yeah.
out of the grant last time.
What
No,
their,
Hinkley paid.
Hinkley paid.
Oh,
for the
did they?
referendums, yeah.
Oh, did they?
their referendum was on the refresh or on the main plan.
On the refresh as well. I think
Well,
that's
these
what
are all-
Colin has said as well.
You know, we're all sitting round and great, we've got various bits of information from various bits and various people. So I really do think it's time to pull it together now. If everyone agrees. It's been a bit tortuous, but I think we've got there.
Well, it's difficult, isn't it? Because really, we're a year behind, aren't we?
Well, you don't need me to endorse that, David. Definitely not. Right, thanks for that. Sorry it was a bit tortuous. The Markfield Blue campaign, Kevin.
Yes.
This is your bit.
Yeah, I mean it's effectively been put on hold at the moment, awaiting grant funding. Any news on that?
No, they still haven't sent it to us.
Yeah, it's like getting blood out of stone, getting money out of. No, I'm sure there's just a bit of an error somewhere gone on.
Sun's gone down now.
So for the newer members, the Blue Campaign is a national scheme to get areas in public green spaces that are introduced back to the wild, rewilding. So last year, I put a suggestion of a few locations down. It was agreed. The idea this year was to introduce some wildflowers and involving local kids. And for that part of it, I needed the funding, which I got approved, but it hasn't actually landed in our bank yet. So that's where we're at.
Is that from the Barden?
It's from
Fund?
Barden, yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
Is this rewilding just within the parish or in wider?
The first stage was just designed to get a public reaction, see what people thought. If they liked it, and I don't think we've received any complaints over it, have we?
Well, I've had a lot as well, to be honest. I walk and I'm having to constantly say why are certain areas being left to just grass as at all.
But are you sure they're talking about the Blue Campaign areas and not highways bits?
And I have to be perfectly honest with them. I can only see one area that's anywhere near the blue badge area that would do anything, and that's Lawn Road. Green.
What I'll suggest, if
There's no soil there, there are wildflowers going out in abundance and that is spinning. Everywhere else we've just got grass and long grass. And nettles which we've had parents complain
yeah,
about.
there is more to the scheme. This is
There
what
is
I'm
more to
saying
it,
to you.
And I'm saying, can we pull back? When we first talked about this, we talked about doing the hump on the Buga. We're going to plant that to the walls and there's what? A piece of land at the side of the back somewhere which goes onto the side of the infant school. But we've gone mad and we're all over the village. And it looks a right mess.
No,
We've got no wildflowers.
no. If you're gonna look, can we stick to the truth?
Well, I've got wildflowers.
The Blue
I
Campaign,
know about the blue
the maps that I put forward, right, are the areas that we've done. It wasn't just the hump
No,
and then this bit, and I've just gone mad at all.
We pull back to not
Well, can I suggest that if you receive a complaint, it gets sent to Lorraine? Okay.
I could take it to Lorraine myself, but why should Lorraine have it?
Because we've got to gauge this. I've had so much
Well, I'm telling
communication
you,
and
I'm telling
support
you,
of
I'm
it.
getting constantly complaints to me.
Right, we'll get them to forward the complaints through the proper
Well,
channel.
these people will not put pen to paper or anything like that. They'll come to me
Well,
if they know trousers.
Anyway, getting back to the
you're
issue.
You're reporting, Klaus, that there have been some complaints.
grass. We are looking, I'm looking for wildflowers and I can only see them up on Law Road Green.
Yes, and that's because of the delay.
No, it's because that soil is capable of, it's not capable of growing anything else.
You're sure
the-
about that? You
to
do.
wildflowers, you have to scrape that topsoil off, you have to make that soil rubbish, basically. That's how wildflowers grow. It does not just happen like spraying seeds.
Which
Trust me, I
is
know.
part of phase 2, which is what I'm getting the funding for.
So
I said,
where,
I'm just trying to, sorry, because we don't, I don't think any of us were around when this
yeah,
came back, so I've just got a few questions. It says on here about the blue heart signs being placed.
Yeah.
Where are they?
they're not there now. They're
Yeah, the scout group made us some. Some of them got vandalised, but the others might have been collected by the scouts when they saw them getting vandalised. I don't know.
So obviously that's.
They were there once, yes.
Right,
and
so
that's to indicate that it shouldn't be mowed, is that right?
it's to indicate.
It's to indicate to the public that it was intentionally left for a reason.
So, and then it said about going on the website and advertising the Herald.
Yeah, that's for phase 2.
Oh, that is phase 2.
Phase
This is in the proposal, phase 2. This was in the proposal. Oh, that's going to be part of phase 2.
Yeah,
So the Herald is
phase 2,
advertised.
strictly speaking, it's all one phase, but in 2 parts,
Because
basically.
I think that's been forgive me for saying, but I think that's a bit of the problem is because they don't know what's happening. That's why they're now saying, well, why have we got these patches of grass everywhere? So because it's not been advertised, they're now coming. I'm certainly getting colleagues even in the Kevin
I've downloaded the bit on
It was
the,
in the zip file.
Yeah, well,
It's the zip file with a little holder.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, and it's the zip file of the tree report.
Yeah, because it's too big to send on email.
Yeah.
Because I've got the minutes and everything.
Well, it probably doesn't matter because we can't afford it at the
No.
moment. All the work done, so I don't think we'll worry too much.
What
I'll just introduce the item. I don't know which is that we have had, because don't forget we have a tree survey, don't we? Where they help me out on this. We do. And every so often we get a report where Johnson Tree Care have checked our trees for us and they put it into different priority areas. And obviously priority 1 has implications for us because there's implications for our risk assessment, there's implications for our insurance as well. So for those of us that couldn't open the zip file, Lorraine, if you could
when we did the pre for the work for the trees. There is a small budget which was for like ongoing maintenance for trees in the cemetery and trees on the recreation ground. But there's only £1,000 each in this budget, so the whole budget for trees now is 2,000. Yeah, and if you look at, for instance, the priority 1 and priority 2 on Mayflower Close, just on Mayflower Close, it's 1,340. Countryman Way, 450. Lawn Road, 325. Whitcroft Close, 660. Redgate Road, 330. The cemetery, 2,800.
Sorry, is that just all priority 1s?
Priority 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
yeah, because I don't make a proposal in it.
And then
Which is too bad.
Did it get a 1 bid?
on top of that, you've got Jubilee Playfields again at 2,000. Saltpits Green and Upper Green, 610. And then Millennium Garden, 70. So basically, you're looking at a total cost of 8,690. Say that again. Yeah. No, the report.
Oh, the report that we got, yes, yes.
What we just saying is
Yeah.
that's priority 2,
Yeah.
priority 1.
Yeah.
That needs to be.
We were going to go back to Johnson's to ask what the total cost of
Just the priority.
just the priority 1s was.
I've done that, but I haven't had that back yet.
Okay, so I was going to suggest that this approval, the priority 1, goes to policy, the next policy and resources, because we meet at the end of June,
Yeah.
when we'll have the up-to-date cost,
Yeah.
and we need to look at the budget, obviously. Is everyone in favour of that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I hesitate
I'm
to say-
frantically trying to find it. I can't at the minute. Just worth double checking. When I originally received that report last year, it included Chapman Close, which is Jelson's responsibility, not ours.
Yes, but
So if there's
that
any
it doesn't
priority
say.
1 or
I know.
But they are trees, and if you've got somewhere to
Yeah.
put them on,
But I
it's
also,
okay.
I also wanted to say to you, make sure you tell them what you want. Peter might be able to help you get that.
Okay,
So,
when he comes back to me, he can tell me how many I can have and what size it is.
yeah,
then
if you try and push him, he will do his best to push the boss, put his hand in his pocket and make sure that they're what we want.
Right.
Okay.
You guys phone number again?
Cemetery chapel pews. We have 2, 3. You
3.
carried them. How
Yeah.
many?
3.
3.
We've kept one. There's one still in the chapel. So there's 3 that are down by the cemetery garage.
Right. There are 3 chapel pews to be disposed of. It was suggested originally, and the plan was that they would be dotted around the cemetery. It's probably not a surprise that you can't fix them. They're not stable. They need metal brackets on. I think the moral of the story is it's just too difficult to do that. So there has been a suggestion, because I gather there's a market for this kind of thing, that we actually sell them.
Yeah.
Can I make it absolutely clear, because we've had a letter come in today,
Yeah, I saw that.
we are not deconsecrating this chapel, we are not closing the chapel, we're not doing anything with it, because it's been deconsecrated for many, many years.
Yeah.
We have had a local person who's offered to buy them. So do we go back to them? You've done some work.
We just had thoughts about contacting Drew on TV, just to, if you pass in what these
Come and
pews-
pick them
We
up.
thought about getting a bit of TV time, but obviously this offers
Full person from Fieldhead who runs a business.
Well, it's good quality hardwood. I don't know what it is, but it weighs a
Yeah.
ton.
And see what the offer is, and then decide whether we're going to accept it.
Yeah.
It's
Can I
like-
also make a suggestion? Not me, because I don't get on with him, but the person that's doing the church
Oh.
next door to my house, when he was taking the keys out of the congregational church, lots of people came and took stuff.
Yeah.
So he might have a contact of someone who might want to buy them as well. So if anyone wants to speak to him and get that information,
Well,
Bidding.
Do we know what they're fetching?
we've got a rough,
Because that would be helpful.
we had an estimation.
Yeah.
about £1,000, wasn't it?
That was back in the good antique days.
Yes.
To be realistic and look at, I think possibly 500 without seeing them. I think you've got to be looking at around 500 per pew, surely.
But Lucy's is a good suggestion.
Yeah.
I saw people taking them, so he must have someone that
Yeah.
will bought
It
them.
wouldn't be a bad idea. Then we would know, wouldn't we? If we got said to 2 people, are you
Yeah.
interested?
2 people bidding.
So if you pass the details on,
I'll give you his.
yeah,
Okay.
that would be great,
So you
Lucy.
get enough to
Thank
play
you.
for your
The,
plan.
the only thing we might do as a history group is cut off the tenon blades on there were tenon joints.
Now you're
Excellent
getting
football.
technical, Barry.
It's like a
Yeah.
it's like a blade that goes into the ground.
Yes.
It's keys into the floor. So all we have to do is go along the feet and just slice them off, then we can put those blades back in the holes in the cemetery floor.
Right.
But I think the other option, the option of disposing them is a case of paying for a skip to dispose of them, which we thought was a bit silly when.
Yes, especially when we have to skip the other week as well.
And also skips now as well.
Yeah.
So I think personally,
Okay.
they need to.
The other thing I'll say, we start cleaning the chapel on Thursday.
Yes, just so that everybody knows, the local history group is cleaning the chapel, ready for occupation, for the occupation we've granted them.
Yeah,
I
so
think you've
just
got
like to say
further-
thanks to Parish Council for letting us have the chapel. That's been
Yes.
very useful.
The windows are now.
The
Yes.
windows are done.
Yeah.
The windows are done, are they? Yeah, so that's good. That's good. The asbestos survey report on the community centre, I've had a look at it. I'm sure
I've had a look at it.
other people have
Yeah.
as well. I think I'm right in saying that we've got minimum risk, the
Right.
tiniest little risk. There are no recommendations, but we should be aware that the roof space of the big
Yeah.
gable end has not been looked at. How we deal with the risk on that going forward is that if the contractor does need to go up there will be a separate.
You warn
risk
them of the
assessment.
They will have to do that
Yeah.
assessment.
Any comments on the asbestos? We basically,
No,
it's
it
very
seems
little,
pretty
isn't
clear.
it?
No,
Yeah.
it's good for the files, isn't it?
It's good for the files and it will be good to pass on to any future tenant,
Yeah.
whoever that may be.
Yes.
So it will be part of the pack.
Yeah.
Part of the pack. So
That's good.
that's the asbestos report. We always knew that there was hardly any
Yeah.
asbestos in the
Yeah.
community centre. Those of you that have been appointed to the Planning and Highways Committee, do any of you have any representations which the Parish Council has put forward for item 12 on the Hinkley National Rail Freight interchange?
No.
I'm staying well away from that one.
I'm not surprised. It doesn't really affect us.
No.
No,
No.
the only point about that is that it's catering for all this growth from basically for the internet, and the environmental impact of this lot's hardly considered, but it's not within the framework of the parish council. Really.
I think there is, for people that live over in that direction, Burbage Common and the A5, I think there's been a lot of issues, but thankfully that is not one of our issues.
No.
Thank you. So, Richard, we're going to chuck you out
Okay.
now, please.